didn't finish everything. Last time, I just got on the first point and that was it. But today I want us to look at the final part. I want us to be attentive, to listen to what the Holy Spirit is going to minister to us in this final part. In this final part of the wilderness. The Lord bless you for those who usually send in their thoughts, their comments. The Lord bless you mightily. We don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted. So, today I want to pick it up. Last time I read from Exodus 15, the way the Israelites, the Pharaoh and his chariots were still following the children of Israel. They were not convinced that God is with them. And so they perished chasing them. Okay? And then I spoke about Mephibosheth, how he was crippled. Mephibosheth was crippled because of the disobedience of the grandfather. And so I was saying there are some wilderness experiences that are man-made. There are wilderness experiences that are man-made. Okay? So, you could be there saying, Muniombe, Mungu ananifinyanga, oh, pray for me, God is doing a great work in me. God is not doing a great work in you. You are doing a work in yourself. It may not be great, but it's work. You are doing a work in yourself. So, the Israelites, I'm back. Today, I don't want time to cut me out. The Israelites spent 40 years. I want us to get that. The Israelites spent 40 years on an 11-day journey. Let that sink in. How do you spend 40 years on a journey that is supposed to take 1 week and a few days? Can you imagine if, for example, the Israelites were moving from Nairobi to Mombasa? You can imagine they were heading the opposite direction. They were going to Eldoret or I don't know where. So you can imagine by the time they reach Eldoret, they start to find their bearing again for them to get back to Nairobi again so that they can start the right journey. That is the depth. I want you to see the seriousness. That is how deep and serious it is. When you don't understand that there's some wilderness experience that you can create for yourself that will cost you so many years of your life. The Israelites probably just thought, if we complain and we grumble, God will forgive us. They did not know what that complacency and grumbling was going to do to them. It was going to cost them 40 years of their lives because they were creating a wilderness. That's why I'm asking you, are you sure the wilderness experience you are going through is orchestrated by God? Or have you orchestrated it by yourself? Have you complained to God so much? God, I want a baby. God, I want a husband. To an extent, God gave you a husband. Now the husband is punching you every night. And you are coming back and saying, friends, pray together with me. I'm going through trials. My husband is beating me. If we can be honest, you will be offended. Sometimes if we become completely honest, I think we can offend so many people. Even we ourselves, we can be offended with our own self, because when I become truthful, I will realize the person who is beating me every day, it's because I created that scenario. God had a perfect will for me, but I was stubborn like the Israelites. I was grumbling every day, calling God names. So God reaches a point and says, like the way he told the children of Israel, oh, you people want to go. What did God tell them? Go. It only took the discernment of Moses. Moses alikaa akaangalia akajua hapana. Akasema hatutoki hapa bila uwepo wako. Moses had the discernment to say, Father, if you are not going with us, do not send us up from here. Kama wendi na sisi wacha ikae. We need to go with you. Not so many Christians have that discernment. Not so many Christians have the discernment when God is saying go, but deep down he is offended. So many Christians don't even get that. They say, God has said we go. They start moving. They are not even sensitive like Moses to sit back and say, has God really said we go? Because God was angry with them. That's why he said, you guys go, but I'm not going with you. There are people who are not even sensitive to realize that God gave you a husband, but God is not there. He said, you wanted a man so much, take him. You are busy celebrating, posting photos for everyone. Yet God is not even in your marriage. There are people who have begged God so much for a child, until God said, okay, ni mtoto unataka, you need a baby, take it. I'm telling you, after some time, that child goes to school. You're always being called, kuja, mtoto wako amepigana ngumi. You are always in the principal's office solving cases, and now you feel like you can choke that child. You've forgotten how you pressured God to give you a baby. Now you have a baby, you feel like killing that baby, especially when they're teenagers. Hey, you wonder, hii ni pepo ndogo ama. You wonder what is wrong with these children. But you're the one who asked God for children. You're the one who quoted verses saying children are a blessing from the Lord. Now why are you complaining and lamenting? Tunateta, CBC, imekuwa ngumu. Children are learning difficult things. They're asking us to bring cabbages and tomatoes to school. And you don't even have cabbage and tomato for your own children to eat. Trust God. Because you can create your own wilderness. And then start imagining that it is God. God is not punishing you. God is not taking you through any wilderness. You could have just been the person who orchestrated your own wilderness. And you are there thinking that it is God. May we not suffer wilderness experience that are orchestrated by men, like the way Mephibosheth suffered. Because the grandfather was disobedient. So the grandson ended up paying the price. I don't want my children or my children's children to ever sit and regret having me as their grandfather. You know, when you don't make it in life, even your own family is not proud of you. That's the painful truth. Kama una pesa, kama hujafanikiwa, nobody wants to be associated with you. Who have you ever met that liked to be associated with a failure? I always tell people that when you come out of a supermarket, right? When you get out of a shopping center, there's always a beggar. There are people always seated there, begging on the streets. You've seen them. Whether you are watching from different parts of the world, you have beggars on the streets. I'm sure, right? You have people, when you have something you're eating, they stretch their hands like this. They are begging. I always tell people, I have never met anyone, not even one. I've never met anyone who told me, you see that beggar that sits outside Tuskies, you see that beggar, that is my relative. I have never met somebody who was proud to be associated with a beggar. Yet these beggars did not fall from the sky. Somebody gave birth to this beggar. These beggars that you see on the street, they have brothers, they have sisters. Some of them will be so shocked, they are very stable families living somewhere. But why is it that you don't meet people saying, I am related to that beggar? Because people don't like failure. People don't like being associated with you when you have nothing. When you are a nobody, everybody rejects you. Everybody excludes you. And so that's why I'm saying there are wilderness experiences that we can create for ourselves, that will even cause our children and our great-grandchildren to be rejected. Because Mephibosheth was now living in a slum, in a place that had a name with a deeper meaning that meant the place was cursed. There was no communication with God. Can you imagine living in a place that means you are cursed? Imagine with the way, you know there is power in a name. Imagine with the way there is power in a name. You are busy living in an estate. You are busy living in a place that means cursed. So you are calling yourself a cursed person. How will blessings reach you? So Mephibosheth was depressed. He was living in a place that meant no communication. Because the grandfather created a wilderness. But understand, their wilderness. Maybe I need to finish with that. The second one, I'll explain it because I've dwelt so much on wilderness that are made by men. Now, there are certain wilderness experiences that are created by God. Hapo ndo kuna kizungumkuti. That's where it gets tricky. Because it is so slippery. You have to be very careful in order to be able to discern, am I in God's wilderness or am I in man's wilderness? The reason I'm saying it gets tricky is because there's a very thin line. So it's not very easy to distinguish whether it is God or whether it is man. When it is God who is taking you through a wilderness, point number one, write this down if you are writing. When it is God who is taking you through a wilderness, number one, you will have unthinkable peace. You see, the Bible says peace that surpasses human understanding. Let me tell you, you will be living in a slum. You will be living in a dirty house. Sewage might be passing outside your house. You might not even have lunch. You didn't even take breakfast. But there is a peace of God that just comforts you. You know very well these things shall come. That's how you know you're in the wilderness of God. There's a peace that surpasses human understanding. You are sleeping hungry, but you don't have ulcers. Because you're not even thinking. You're not even stressing yourself. But I'm telling you, when it is human wilderness, when you're going through problems that are created by men, or that were created by your own bad decisions, you'll always be getting panic attacks. When you go to sleep, you can't even sleep. Your mind starts to race. You start to imagine so many things. Because you know, maybe I could have done things differently. But when you know you've done your part, like when I know I have prayed, there are times I pray, I fast, I tell God I've done what I know. Even when nothing seems to be working, do you know I'm always peaceful? Because I know I've done my part. So I know this must be God who is allowing me to go through this. Wilderness that is orchestrated of God has unthinkable peace. You will have peace that surpasses human understanding. Number two, when you're in the wilderness of God, you have divine health. Let me tell you, you can sleep hungry. You can wear a shirt that is torn. Mtu akiangalia shati yako huku imeraruka. You can be wearing torn clothes. You can be sleeping hungry. But I'll assure you one thing. When God is molding you, when God is taking you through the fire, one thing that He will give you is divine health. You will drink tap water and not get cholera. You will hug people and you will not get COVID. But I'm not encouraging you to hug, okay? Keep social distance. But I'm saying one thing I've realized. When you are in the plan of God, when you are going through something yet it has the signature of God, let me tell you, you will always have divine health. People will be wondering, kwani wewe kwangi mgonjwa? You never get sick. And if you are sick and you are a child of God, don't be offended. I'm not saying you are a sinner. Sometimes God does things that are beyond human understanding. So I may not understand why you're sick, yet you seek God with all your heart. There could be somebody watching you even have cancer. There are people who have very bad diseases, terminal diseases, that the doctors came and told you have this, and now you are feeling bad because you don't understand what you've done to deserve it. Let me tell you, as men, we do not always have the answers. I cannot have all the answers. I'm a man. And that is what makes God to be God. Because if I had all the answers, then it would mean I am a deputy God. It would mean people can worship me. So that's why when I see a man of God always talking like they have answer to everything, I fear them very much. Let me tell you, I fear churches that always paint a picture as though they have the ultimate truth. You know, there is no church that is 100%. If we start digging your church, my friend, using scripture, we will find so many problems with you. So for those people who always talk, for those ones who talk like God lives in your churches, can you stop it? There is nobody who is perfect. We are all learning from one another. So when I hear somebody always talk like they have all the answers, my friend, run away. That's a con man or a con woman. When you see a pastor who always has an answer to your question, he is always giving you solutions, which even your heart finds trouble accepting, you could be dealing with a con man. A genuine man of God is like Elisha. There's a place it reaches, you admit, I also don't know why God has taken away the child of this woman. Let me ask God. Because Elisha reached a point, he was also not understanding. Why did God kill the boy of this woman? I mean, we prayed, we trusted God last year. God gave her a child. Now God has taken away. I don't understand. And Elisha had to go and lie on the boy. And the boy still did not resurrect. He had to lie again, mouth to mouth, face to face. There are times you don't understand. You tell God, I've done everything. God, I've tithed. Father, I have prayed. I have fasted. But the boy still died. Now that is God. He does things sometimes until you wonder, God, what more do you want me to do? I have given seeds. I have sown into ministries. I have blessed people. But you are still not answering me. Yes, that is part of Christianity. Reaching a level you don't even understand this God. But He's doing something. Believe God in that wilderness. Because there is something God is molding inside you. God will take you through a wilderness until your heart breaks and no longer takes offense with things. Some of you are prolonging your wilderness experience because you are getting offended so easily. When you get offended so easily, you prolong your wilderness experience. Learn to be broken. Learn to know that maybe God is taking me through this so that I can stop being angry too quickly. God will crush you until people's actions no longer rub you off the wrong way. People will be trying to offend you and you just smile. And they wonder, is your head okay? Because the thing they have done to you, they expect you to curse. They expect you to be angry. But you just smile. Because God has worked on your heart. God will break you, friends. I'm telling you, friends, God will break you until the things that used to offend you now just cause you to rejoice. You used to be offended because you've had people talk about you. Now you rejoice because you say, oh, so I matter. They are talking about me, it means I matter. It shows you've been broken. God has graduated you from the school of pettiness. You know, school of pettiness, where you are petty. Something small you are crying. Something small you want to go and confront the pastor. I want to go and confront this pastor. I want to go and confront. God will break you until you don't see any need to confront any man of God anymore. But before, you used to be very confrontational. You even wanted to confront your parents. Why did you take me to this bad school? You are still a baby if you react like that. I'm telling you, God will press you until you reach a level. You just say, like Job, when he was going through trouble, he told the wife, when God gave us good things, we did not complain. Why should we complain now when disaster strikes? That is the talk of a person who has been broken. You will be broken so much until when bad things happen, you will say, when God gave me good things, I did not complain. Why should I complain now? It shows you have been broken. So friends, get interacting with me on Facebook. Let's talk, let's share, let's be blessed together. I hope this word has blessed you. I look forward to sharing more. Remember, make sure the wilderness you're going through is not self-orchestrated. Make sure you're in the will and in the perfect plan of God. The Lord bless you until we meet next time. Have a blessed time. Get interacting with me on Facebook, Kelvin Obonyo. Let's get blessed together. Ask me, share your questions, send them to me. I will be more than happy to answer some of the questions you have. So until next time, the Lord bless you. Thank you. Bye. Have a wonderful